Welcome back to Sunrise. Now, elections are key pillars of democracy and have become the commonly accepted means of legitimizing government. Once elections are flawed, it is an invitation to violence in the state, which may snowball into political instability. As they approach the 2019 elections in Nigeria, youth who are majorly used by politicians with premonition that the election is not in their favor and are deployed to cause all forms of mayhem, ballot snatching, and other forms of violence. In Nigeria, of note is the post-election 2011 election violence that was like a major matter. But even before that, in 2015, there were reports of skirmishes here and there, and in the various pockets of elections we've had reports, minor reports of issues here and there. So the question is, how do we curb election violence? How do we end it? Is it possible to get the youth, who are majorly the tools used by the politicians to cause these issues, is it possible to do is it a mindset rewiring?
Yeah.
Myself shift.
Okay, so, well, to help us look at all of this, we have Ugo Otonye, who's a legal practitioner in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Also, here is Abiodun Bamidele, a human capital development expert. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And joining us from London is Benson Onyekachi, a leadership coach. Thank you for joining us, Benson. All right. So let me start with you, Mr. Otonye.
Yes.
From what you've seen in our political space and in our socio-economic space as well, what do you think about election violence?
First of all, I think it's the perception of the electoral process as a whole. I think that's what brings about the violence associated with the electoral processes, because in this part of the world, I think we tend to think that is a do or die, affair. It's supposed to be, the exercise of your civic, responsibility. But the way we have been, wired over the years because of maybe the previous military government we've had. So the youth tend to think that, it's a do or die affair, something that, we must win at all costs. But no.
I need you to clarify that. Is it the youths who think, or the politicians who are using them?
Yes.
Who give them the idea?
Yes, if you recall, I said the way we've been wired over the years. So the leadership of this country, I said this last time I came, I said, I think for me, personally, I think it's a deliberate attempt. Because, by the time you keep them uneducated, keep them impoverished, so the general populace would tend towards your bidding. So when they tell you to go, do acts that are against the law to ensure that they win election at all costs, then you find out that, they sway these youths and this populace towards electoral violence.
Yeah, Mr. Bamidele, is it not time for our youth to begin to understand that they are just being used and they are dispensable, and refuse? Because I have seen some cartoons and stuff on social media where they say, if somebody asks you to go commit a political misdemeanor, ask him if his son is going to be the one leading you. If not, then don't let yourself be used. Is it not time for the youth to begin to get wake up and smell the coffee?
Unfortunately, that is what is expected. But that is not the ideal. That is not what is on ground. And the reason is simple. A man will not change until his paradigm changes. And when I say a change of paradigm, like he said, a man that is hungry is already an available tool to be used anytime, anyhow. Let me ask a question.
Even for 1,000 naira.
Yeah.
In fact, you just brought that out of my mouth.
It's amazing.
The question is, when you check all of this violence we're talking about, take an history of the people involved. A young man that is working in an office, will he be part of it? No. But someone has not even eaten a meal. I'm not saying that is a justifiable excuse, but the fact remains that for as long as their situations do not change, and like he said, I agree with him 100%, our leaders, so to speak, are ensuring that that does not change. So that at every opportunity available to them, they still have this bunch of young people to use. The question is, somebody is asking you, go and do A, B, and C. His children are somewhere else. In fact, let me just a little digression. Some years ago, a friend and I were considering entering into a particular business, transportation to be specific. And thank God a friend of ours was with us. And he said, guys, you better don't try it. That driver you want to give the vehicle to, do you know his psychology? His psychology is, you guys are sitting in an air-conditioned office. You want me to go and be bringing money for you. It's because you have so much to throw around. Now, imagine that frame of mind. Nothing will change about that person until the frame of mind changes. I've always said that poverty is a major challenge. But for me, it even starts with the poverty of the mind. Where you see yourself less than who you really are, and then the poverty of the pocket. If that does not change, the youth will continually be available tools to be used by people to do whatever they want them to do.
Okay.
Benson?
Benson.
Benson, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Benson, do you not think that, this whole thing is a chain? Politicians see getting into office as a do-or-die affair because getting there is lucrative. And I underlined that in red 10 times. So, that being the way it is, they will do anything to get there. Therefore, the young man who is a thug this time, makes enough money this time, is prepared to be a thug forever because he will keep making enough money, because where his principal is going has so much money, he'll always have business, in quotes.
Right. Okay.
So, don't you think we should be looking at making the positions less lucrative?
That's it.
I think the politicians, they earn so much money. I think we should be looking at cutting down the cost of governance, the salaries for these politicians. Just yesterday, I was speaking to one of my doctor friends in Nigeria, and he actually earns 120,000 naira a month, and that equates to about 265 pounds. You know, for someone who saves life, for someone who creates wealth. These politicians, they do not save lives, they do not create wealth, however, whatsoever. And you wonder why they earn so much money. Some of them earn even up to 35 million naira a month. That is too much. That needs to be changed. It needs to be reformed. If we have politicians and as much as the doctors do, or as much as the people who actually save lives do, you will see that the polity or the political space would be left for people who are actually credible, people who are patriotic enough to come out and change Nigeria, you know. And going back to the subject, the youth are actually the driving force for any democratic progression or retrogression, and they are being used, like we have rightly